How widespread is Sharia, the Islamic threat? We're going to be talking about it today on Faith and Freedom. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. My special guest is Erick Stakelbeck, who is the correspondent on terrorism for CBN and also GBTV, Glenn Beck's television program. His book is called The Terrorist Next Door, and we've been talking this week about Islam worldwide, and now we've brought it to America. Tomorrow we want to talk about Israel. But today we want to talk about how widespread is it in America, and let's begin with the Muslim Brotherhood. First of all, what is the Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, the Muslim Brotherhood is the most influential Islamic radical group in the world, and Matt, they are the granddaddy of them all when it comes to Islamic jihadist groups. They were founded in 1928 in Egypt, and that's always been their power base.
And the interesting thing when you say that, in most people's mind, the granddaddy is al-Qaida because we've heard about that so much. And if during the elections in Egypt, it had been mentioned that al-Qaida was the predominant party that comes into power, people would have been shocked. But since it was the Muslim Brotherhood, people are less aware of what that is. And yet that is the biggest, most widespread Islamic organization in the world.
Two things to remember here, Matt. Number one, al-Qaida is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. There's a reason that Osama bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, all of these al-Qaida leading lights, as young men before they formed al-Qaida, they belonged to the Muslim Brotherhood. It's not because the Brotherhood's warm and fluffy about America, I can assure you that. Number two, the Brotherhood is Hamas, the Palestinian terror group Hamas, which the U.S. government designates as a terrorist organization. They self-identify themselves, quote, as the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood. So Hamas, al-Qaida, this is the company the Brotherhood keeps. Yet the Obama administration has assured the American people that the Brotherhood is moderate, secular. We can work with these guys, and we've emboldened them in this Arab Spring throughout North Africa and the Middle East.
So they began in Egypt. Their headquarters began, I think it was in Cairo.
Yes. And
they've grown from there around the world. And now we've just gone through elections in Egypt. First of all, what is the Brotherhood? And then what does that mean for Egypt now?
The Brotherhood is devoted to establishing Islamic Sharia law worldwide, and they want to reestablish the Islamic Caliphate. You and I talked about it earlier this week.
Which is the Islamic State.
The Islamic superstate, all Muslim nations united into one all-powerful entity, militarily, economically, socially, politically. That's what the Brotherhood wants. They're gaining huge traction in the Middle East and North Africa with this Arab Spring. In Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, Syria, Jordan, Morocco, across the board. Now, the Obama administration has made a conscious decision to engage in dialogue with the Muslim Brotherhood, not only in the Middle East, but right here in America. Matt, it's true. The Muslim Brotherhood has front groups operating openly here in the U.S. who are actually working with the U.S. government. Now, I know that sounds conspiratorial, but it's not me saying it. Our own FBI has captured documents. 2004, Northern Virginia, just a few minutes from the White House. The FBI captured documents at the home of a leading Muslim Brotherhood operative. He had a sub-basement underneath his basement with a treasure trove of Muslim Brotherhood documents. This is Northern Virginia, the nation's capital. In those documents, it named several leading American Muslim organizations. And these are the organizations: ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, the Muslim American Society, the whole alphabet soup of American Muslim groups who we see meeting with the FBI, who we see at White House iftar dinners with President Obama. All of these groups are named in official Muslim Brotherhood documents as, quote, friends of our organization. These are our people. Now, our government has these documents in its possession, yet they continue to meet with these groups. And in those documents, real quick, it makes clear that the Brotherhood's goal is to, quote, destroy Western civilization from within. This is their own words, not mine. And our FBI uncovered these documents.
Let's pause on that just for a moment, because we often focus on this jihadism, on the bombings, the terrorism that we see with the suicide bombers or the homicide bombers. But there is a huge aspect that's before that sometimes goes under the radar, and that is this attempt to first, before you have to get to that level, to destroy it from within, to literally destroy the West, our Judeo-Christian values from within. You see that as a huge threat to America and the West.
Bigger threat than the violent jihad in the long term. Hey, look, it's nasty when people are blowing you up, without a doubt. But here's a key point to remember for everyone. Al-Qaida and the Muslim Brotherhood, they differ in tactics. Al-Qaida wants to kill you now, blow you up now. They want the caliphate, Sharia, now. The Muslim Brotherhood says, hey, look, guys, wait a minute, slow down. We can do this nonviolently. We can do it through elections. We can get jobs in the university, in the media, in the government, in positions of influence. It's a long process. We are very patient. But at the end of the day, although they differ in tactics, here's the key point. The end game for Al-Qaida and the Muslim Brotherhood is the same. Same outcome. The caliphate and Islamic Sharia law for one and all. People need to remember that when you have pundits inside the Beltway telling you that the Muslim Brotherhood is a moderate group that we should reach out to.
Now, I have read that there are some people that have the same ideology as the 9/11 attackers and so forth, but ultimately disagreed with that in some respects because they felt that it was too soon. They felt that the infrastructure of America was not weak enough, and therefore the 9/11 was premature because America was still strong enough to retaliate and take the lives of other Muslims in the Middle East. Do you see that as well?
You know, I do. The Brotherhood's philosophy is slowly, slowly, slowly. Look, in Egypt, for instance, they've been waiting for about 90 years. Now they're about to seize the reins. So,
and what does that mean for Egypt now?
Egypt will be an Islamic state, if not overnight, eventually, under radical Islamic rule led by the Brotherhood. What does that mean for Egypt? It means Sharia. It means degradation of women. It means chaos. More importantly, perhaps, what does it mean for Israel?
Yeah, I want to talk about that tomorrow because that's going to be a huge sea change for Israel because they had the treaty there. They gave the land back, a huge part of the delta, to Egypt. And it had oil wells, it had airports. They gave it back. Now, of course, there's a whole different sea change coming, and it's going to be a big threat to Israel, I believe.
Absolutely it is. Look, you have a 32-year peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. It's a cold peace, but a peace nonetheless. That's about to go by the wayside.
Now, there's a lot that we can talk about in terms of how widespread this is, and I know you go into more of this in the Terrorists Next Door, but how does the New York Mosque fit in to this attempt to undermine the West?
The Ground Zero Mosque, the proposed Ground Zero mega mosque, is the equivalent of a Roman victory arch. It's an Islamic victory arch. It's one of the scenes of one of the great Islamic conquests against America. That's how many Muslims view this. And Imam Rauf, who was the guy for a long time who was the public face of this mega mosque, was a master of a concept a concept called taqiyya. Now, in Islam, taqiyya means deception. It's an Arabic word for deception. He was a taqiyya master. Deceptive, gave a moderate face to the world, said, look, I'm against violence, I'm against jihad, I'm against Sharia. He said that in English, Matt, but if you look at his Arabic writings, he said the complete opposite. That's an old trick that's been perfected by the Muslim Brotherhood types. They look like you and I. They wear a suit and tie. They don't have the big beard and the flowing robes. They look moderate. They sound moderate. They're well-educated, but they're anything but, and that's their trick.
Isn't that also supported by the Quran and the Hadiths that you can actually lie as long as your underlying goal is to ultimately promote and establish Islam? So you can enter into treaties. You can enter into agreements. You can say you're for one thing, but you're actually opposed to what you're saying.
And Muhammad himself in the Quran broke treaties. Broke peace treaties, deceived his enemies, and it is okay, as you said, to lie to non-believers to advance the cause of Islam.
Well, our special guest has been Erick Stakelbeck, and he is the author of The Terrorists Next Door. He is a correspondent on terrorism for CBN and also GBTV. And this is a book that you'll want to read, The Terrorists Next Door, talking about how the government is deceiving you about the threat of Islam, not only in America, but around the world. It's a book you'll want to read, a great time to buy it. You can go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org, and buy it right there on the website, or you can call 1-800-671-1776. You can also Give an online contribution to Liberty Counsel by going to the website at lc.org or call us again at our toll-free number, 1-800-671-1776, and ask for the book, The Terrorist Next Door.